recording. And we'll just wait a few more minutes to see if anybody else joins us for this lunchtime edition of Living Well Through Menopause. And I'll give it about 5 minutes and then we'll blast, because there's a lot of information here to go through. And I want to have a good recording for the people who want to watch it in the recording mode and not live. So. It looks like you actually have summer where you are.
Yeah, it's really nice today. It's like 26.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, it's trying to rain here again.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like this for months. I've never experienced a spring and summer like this.
Well, there's still a couple months. Well, there's still like a month and a half left. So
I know. It's just very funny. It's
yeah,
because it's very seldom this rainy here in the summer. Winter, yeah, but you get used to that. But, oh well. Just give it a couple more minutes. Do you have your office outside? I think you do.
I do today. Yeah,
Nice.
I switch it up.
I love having an outside office in the summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yeah.
Even when it's raining, I can sit under the gazebo.
Yeah.
Just messaged one of my girls because
Okay.
she was thinking about coming to this one.
Yeah. I made a note for myself for the next time I offer it. I might do it at 2 o'clock because that would be 5 o'clock Eastern, a little easier. Didn't really think, I thought it was 4 hours difference, but I guess it's only 3. So I should have, oh well.
Yeah, that's okay.
Notes for next time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, notes for next time. Well, I think what we'll do is maybe get started, and then if people join us, they can catch up at the beginning by watching the video, because I'm going to record this, and I'm going to record the one in the evening, and whichever one turns out better, I will post and then send out the link to people who want to watch it. Probably post it on my Facebook page as well, so, and probably on Team Believe. So people can have a watch of this. But my name is Chris Rosima, and I am a Young Living business partner, brand partner, and I created this Living Well Through Menopause class because I noticed a lot of my friends are, struggling with the varying stages of menopause, and these stages, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, can happen kind of at any age, depending on what your health status is. Some women have issues early in life and start menopause early, either naturally or through surgery. And some, like me, just go into it kind of naturally in their 40s and 50s. So it's a big stage in life. And I find that a lot of it is not talked about by our healthcare system until women come to the point where they're so frustrated by the symptoms that they go to their doctor and demand some support, or they start seeking alternatives out in the world. And that's some of the things that I hope to provide for you today. So I want to start off by saying thank you for being here. I really am very, very excited to be presenting this. But the information here, I want to do my disclaimer, is obtained for medical and informational purposes only. It's meant to inspire and motivate and empower you on your own wellness journey based on your own research and partnership with your healthcare provider. The statements in this class have not been evaluated by Health Canada, and they are not medical advice. These products are not meant to diagnose, treat, cure or prevent any disease. I personally am not a medical practitioner, and I only speak from my personal experience and the experience that I've been told about by others. So if you have any other medical conditions, as well as the ones as well as the symptoms and the conditions you might find in this presentation, I urge you to consult with your healthcare provider and determine if these products are right for you. That said, welcome to Living Well Through Menopause. Sleepless nights, hot flashes, mood swings, weight gain, trouble with memory, and feeling like you are in a fog. Those are just some of the issues that women going through the various stages of menopause, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause often complain about. These symptoms can be mild or significant. They can affect your sense of self-worth, your sense of your ability, and your relationships. I have heard lots of women friends complain bitterly about this phase of life and the troubles that they find in adapting to it and understanding it. I personally had a lot of symptoms, but because of my work, I ignored them a lot and pushed through. But when I finally paid attention, welcome, Kim Marie. When I finally paid attention to them, I found that you could actually do something about them. When they finally got to the point where I just couldn't ignore them anymore, I started looking for ways to deal with them. So what if I had told you that menopause doesn't have to be miserable? That there are natural and safe practices and products that you can incorporate into your life that will help ease or eliminate the worst of the symptoms. So for the past 9 years, I was actually living in menopausal mush of hot flashes, too much stress, weight gain, and sadness that what I believed to be the vibrancy of being a woman was ending, right? And I think a lot of women have those feelings. But then I started thinking differently about my role, and I started finding some really miraculous ways to think about this phase of life, and found some products that helped me a lot to get to that point. So this class is going to open you up to some personal and lifestyle changes that you can make that will actually help you live well through menopause, and to think about this part of life in a different way. So the first thing that we really need to talk about is hormones. And because hormones are the chief character in this drama of this season of our life. So the best thing to start with is what actually is menopause. So menopause is a phase of life in women that signifies the end of their reproductive period. It signifies the end of menstruation. Okay. And during perimenopause, your ovaries begin to shrink in size, and you start getting non-regular periods typically. And as you go along through perimenopause, you come to menopause, and that is when the female hormone estrogen and progesterone levels decrease significantly. Hormone levels of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, they do fluctuate during perimenopause, and slowly, the ovaries start to shut down. And this can cause irregular menstrual cycles and unpredictable episodes of heavy bleeding during perimenopausal years. This may be too much information. Mine were so heavy, I would have to take extra clothing to work because it was unexpected, and it was uneven and often extremely heavy. So then once we reach menopause is a cessation of those hormones being produced, and it causes the ovaries to stop producing an egg, which leads to the fall in estrogen, and the physical and emotional symptoms start to happen. Because estrogen really contributes to a lot of things in our body. It contributes to cognitive health. It contributes to bone health. It supports cardiovascular system and quite a few other essential body processes. And most people know it for its role alongside progesterone in female sexual and reproductive health. So it's quite a complicated process, menopause, because we've spent our life from the time we've had our first period till now being supported and flooded with estrogen and progesterone. And once we get pregnant, the progesterone is quite high. The ovaries our ovaries, our adrenal glands, and our fatty tissues produce estrogen. And both male and female bodies produce estrogen, but females, of course, produce more of it. Now, there's 3 types of estrogen. Estrone, which is present in the body after menopause, is a weaker form of estrogen and one that the body can convert to other forms of estrogen as necessary. So that's estrone. There's estradiol, which is produced in both male and female bodies, and it's the most common type of estrogen in females during reproductive years. Too much estradiol may result in a lot of acne, the loss of sex drive, osteoporosis, and depression. Very high levels of estradiol can increase the risk of uterine and breast cancer. However, low levels of it can result in weight gain and cardiovascular disease. So you can see how this is about balance. Like, women's bodies are so much reliant on balance for this. And this is where this times of life of perimenopause, menopause are so difficult. The balance is thrown all off whack. Then the third kind of estrogen is estriol. And estriol is the estrogen type that rises during pregnancy. It helps the uterus to grow, and it helps the female body to be ready for delivery. So that's kind of a quick summary of the 3 kinds of estrogen and their complicated roles in our bodies. An imbalance of estrogen can lead to irregular or no menstruation, light or heavy bleeding during menstruation, more severe premenopausal or menopausal symptoms. It can lead to hot flashes, night sweats, both non-cancerous lumps in the breast and the uterus, mood changes, and sleep problems. Weight gain may be mainly in the hips, thighs, and waist area. Who has that? Low sexual desire, vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, fatigue, mood swings, feelings of depression, anxiety, and dry skin. So that's all of those things can happen with an imbalance of estrogen. So it explains why these phases of life can be so difficult. Now, hormone treatment is available for this. It's available as a pill, as a nasal spray, a patch, skin gel, injection, vaginal cream, a hormone ring. Those things you really need to speak with your primary care provider, your healthcare provider about, and talk to them about the pros and cons of each of those things. But those are things that are all there available to help you with estrogen imbalance. They can help you with all of those symptoms, or the majority of those symptoms, and it can also help reduce the risk of osteoporosis, which is one of the significant concerns for women in postmenopause. They do have side effects, which you really need to talk to your healthcare provider about. So you've got the pros and cons of how they can help your body and what you need to look for. And a doctor really is the only person who can advise you whether estrogen therapy or hormone replacement therapy, HRT, is suitable for you. I never did hormone replacement therapy because my mother had estrogen receptive breast cancer. So I never even considered doing hormone replacement therapy with that precondition in my family, because all of those hormone therapies are actually estrogen in your body. So it was never suitable for me. So I did it completely differently, and that's why I have this experience. Now, another kind of hormone that women have in their body that's a lot less talked about is testosterone. Much like male bodies have estrogen, female bodies have testosterone. And most people think of testosterone as a male sex hormone, but everybody requires a certain amount of it. And while males have more testosterone than females, our adrenal glands and ovaries produce small amounts of testosterone. And it affects things like fertility, sex drive, red blood cell production, muscle mass, and fat distribution, which is very interesting. And so low testosterone can cause a lot of symptoms in women. It can cause sluggishness, muscle weakness, fatigue, sleep disturbances, reduced sex drive, decreased sexual satisfaction. It can help with weight gain. It can give you fertility issues, irregular menstrual cycles, vaginal dryness, and importantly, the loss of bone density. So it is really important to research that. And if you're having significant issues, talk to your healthcare provider. They can often do blood work that can help show you where your balance level is. And the final hormone in this trio of hormones that are implicated in this phase of our life is progesterone. And in hormone therapy, progestin is used in combination with estrogen to reduce the risk of cancer of the uterus that can occur when estrogen is taken by itself. So I watched a really good Instagram presentation today of a physician who is a specialist in this area, and she said, natural things are not necessarily safe. Estrogen in too much volume can cause bad things to happen. So we have to be very clear, and we have to have good advice on what processes we're going to do to help support our body. Progesterone is the hormone that is most needed for fertility, but it does impact a wide range of other bodily functions, so that if you don't have enough progesterone, you may find yourself with migraine headaches, mood changes, again, changes in bone density, irregular bleeding. It's known that a dose of progesterone every day can decrease both the number of hot flashes or night sweats and the intensity of those episodes. It can help improve the quality of your sleep. And there is some evidence that progesterone may protect against cognitive decline if hormone replacement therapy starts early in the menopause process. So some researchers have also found that progesterone improved visual and verbal memory in people in menopause. But again, there's always the possibility of a side effect with any choice that you make. So it's really important to have clear goals about what you want in this phase of your life and moving forward, and speak to a healthcare provider. I personally have found my naturopath to be very tremendous, a tremendous support for discussing these various options, especially in light of the fact that I also have cardiac issues for which I'm on medication for. And she helps me to determine what I can and should and shouldn't take, in light of my cardiac issues. So those are the three sex hormones and how they change our lives during this period where we go from basically being flooded with a balance of these three sex hormones to going to times where our bodies are not producing these hormones anymore or at the same rate. So one of the things that I do want to say right off the top, though, it isn't all hormones and physical being that determine how we experience this menopausal journey. The majority of our experience is actually created by our mindset, our belief systems that we've set up and practiced our entire lives, and how they then evaluate and judge this period of life that we're in. So the symptoms that we experience in menopause are actually neutral. There's no real meaning assigned to them until we assign it. And for example, people can see hot flashes as sheer hell, or they can be seen as a transitional process, depending on how we interpret them and how we approach them. And how you take the thoughts and feelings you have and interpret your experience determines how you feel about this entire process and the results that you see from it. Because beliefs are just thoughts you keep thinking. And if you are always telling yourself that menopause is terrible, that you hate this period of life, that you feel terrible, this is what will be replayed over and over to you, and it will fire automatically. And suddenly you will find yourself living in that all the time and seeing no good or positive aspects of it at all. And for women, especially in menopause, these symptoms are tied up with cultural messages of what a female body is for, and the worthiness of old female bodies, the beauty of old female bodies, and the value in women's knowledge. So our culture is really one that is focused on youth and the beauty of youth and the use of women's bodies as the place where babies are created. And when that starts to go away, women are left struggling with how do they think about, how do they value, how do they perceive this phase of their life. And no matter what products you try, whether it's Western medicine, whether it's alternative medicine, Chinese medicine, energy work, whatever it is, your mindset about this phase of life will be the key to how you experience it. So if you are really struggling and you are finding yourself lower and lower and lower, you may want to start considering a coach, a therapist, a group, a self-help group, something like that to help you contextualize your experience and to possibly start thinking about this phase of our lives differently. Okay, so now I'm going to start on several slides that look at body systems where this process, peri, meno, and post-menopause, start to impact us, and what are some of the things that women may or may not experience in those body systems. So the first one we're going to talk about is the brain impact. Lots of women report brain fog, memory loss, loss of focus, inability to concentrate during menopause. And it's funny because that brain fog you feel isn't all in your head. There's very good research that shows that cognitive decline during the transition into menopause, including symptoms like forgetfulness, delayed verbal memory, reduced verbal processing, and impaired learning, all can happen during this period of time. And it shows that a lot of the memory related complaints are actually predicted by age, by the severity and the number of hot flashes, by feelings of depression, feelings of stress, and the perceived level of health. So this is where that mindset piece comes in. Memory related complaints can be predicted by your perceived level of health. Because actually, menopause is really a dynamic neurological transition as well. Your brain is impacted by this transition because the hormone change, the endocrine aging in your life impacts your brain. But the good news is that while there may be some cognitive decline during the menopausal phase, due to the sudden loss of the reduction in estrogen, the decline seems to stop and then reverse postmenopausal. So it does truly seem like it's a transition period for your brain functions while the estrogen is leaving your body, and your body adapts differently postmenopausal and recovers, which is really kind of optimistic and cool. And there's a study by Dr. Lily Thomas that the gray matter volume returned to normal, especially in areas concerned with some types of memory and cognitive processing. And in fact, the gray matter volume in postmenopausal women is similar or increased to males of the same age, and increases over the next 2 years of postmenopause. So this is fantastic news. while it may be a difficult transition period, on the other side, once your body gets used to the lower estrogen, because it'll still have some of that first kind of estrogen, once it gets used to that, your brain seems to rebound and start to adapt to that new reality and improves. So this is really great news. So there are some things that you can use in brain impact to help you kind of get through this period of your menopause. They're things like omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, turmeric, and a product from Young Living called MindWise that has got CoQ10, the omega-3s, kind of all in a blend. So it looks really like those fatty acids and the turmeric. And I'm not sure why the turmeric, but it maybe it's something to do with inflammation. I don't know. But they all seem to be quite helpful in this phase of life with brain impact issues. There's some really good essential oils that you can use to help support your clarity and focus during this time, including lavender, frankincense, lemon, peppermint. Those are ones that can help you adapt during the period of time when your brain is really struggling. But a really interesting component of brain health that I have recently learned about is that your gut is the site of 90% of your serotonin production. And serotonin is responsible for the regulation of your moods. So if your gut is responsible for 90% of that, if you support your gut in this, you support your brain health. So you can improve your brain health by improving your gut, which I think is just a fantastic piece of information. So when you're thinking of how to support your body, it's not just about the organ or the area of impact that you're thinking about. It's what product or what parts of my body are really supportive of that, and go from there. So the next body system is body size. Weight gain is one of the most negative impact of menopause that women state. When they're surveyed, weight gain is one of the single biggest things that they complain about in menopause. And it's a different kind of weight gain. It's often a weight gain that doesn't respond the same way as it did in different phases of your life when you were younger. And it's also typically weight gain in different parts of your body. We talked about hips, thighs, and waist. And in fact, there was a poll recently. I'm in a Facebook group where there's over 100,000 women talking about menopause, and that they did a poll, and it showed that the top 3 symptoms that women struggled with during menopause were anxiety, exhaustion, and weight gain. It caused them the most trouble. It caused them the most emotional distress, and it was the things that they really struggled to get through. So building up from the slide I talked about in terms of mindset, what are some of the things that you can do with mindset that can help you in the weight gain area during menopause? So you can ask yourself some questions. What do I currently feel about my body? You can ask, how does what I feel about my body show up in my daily activities? You can ask yourself, how do I think about food? And how does that show up in what I eat or don't eat? And what would be different if I loved my body and thought about food as a way to honor her? And finally, how could I love my body through gentle exercise that fits within my lifestyle? So there's nothing in here about radical alteration, except in how you think about what where your body is, how you feel about what it looks like now, how you feel about it based on your cultural conditioning around ideas of beauty, around ideas of health. Because a lot of our ideals of what ideal health looks like are based on much younger women in much different phases of their life. So ask yourself some questions. mindset wise, before you start trying to change anything about your body. Because if you believe that your body is failing you, and that's why it's getting fat, or that you feel that you're ugly, those kinds of things are going to cloud any judgments that you make and any decisions and practices that you implement about this issue. So if you're wanting to look at supporting mindset changes around these, you might consider some essential oils like frankincense or clary sage, any of the tree oils that can help you reflect on your body and how you can love your body where she is at this moment. And then you can think about, how do I support her physically during this period of time? What optimal nutrition should I get to help with most of these, with this issue, with the size of my body? And I don't want you to forget about things like gut health and elimination. Way down on the list of things that trouble women when they're in menopause is constipation. We're going to get to that in another slide, but body size and gut health and mindset are all intricately linked. Okay, so let's talk about the emotional impacts of menopause. And this is super important because anxiety was one of the 3 top issues that women stated that impacted them most significantly during this period of life. And it's because the same hormones that control your menstrual cycle also influence your serotonin levels. And serotonin is a chemical that promotes feelings of well-being and happiness. We talked about that for gut health. And when your hormone levels drop, your serotonin levels also drop, which increases your irritability, your anxiety, and your sadness. Okay. And your body image, we just talked about body size, your body image, your role in the world, being different as a woman, finding a new purpose, possibly battling depression or grief or anxiety. These are all the emotional impacts of menopause. So women can experience an increase in anxiety, in panic attacks, in mood swings, in tearfulness, and they can also experience the development of low mood that is like a chronic low mood. But more importantly, or as importantly, they can also develop feelings such as a loss of confidence, an inability to make decisions, especially if you're having those brain impacts, a reduced ability to cope. If you're feeling like you're confused or frustrated, that feeling of am I able to cope can come quite strongly. Added stress on your day can compound all of these things. If you are in a stressful job or a stressful relationship, that can compound all of these things because now you've got cortisol entering the system. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too. You can also experience feelings of anger and insecurity. And sometimes these symptoms don't just have a negative impact on you, but they impact your family and your friends and possibly even your work. It's interesting to note that women who have hot flashes often tend to have a greater degree of mood changes. And women who have previously had hormone-related depression, like postnatal depression or premenstrual syndrome, have an increased risk of developing perimenopausal low mood as well. And that's in research from Dr. Alice Scott. So if you had PMS or you had postnatal depression, you have to be very, very careful about going into perimenopause and how that reduction in estrogen is going to impact your mental state of mind. Again, make sure you're staying in connection with your primary healthcare provider and have good open goals around how you want to deal with this. But there's also some really good supplements that can help support your emotions. Young Living has some very good ones. The omega-3 and 6 supplement Omega Gize also contains CoQ10, which is an enzyme, very important in this whole chemical change in your body. Ningsha Red, which is an antioxidant drink made from wolfberry juice, is very good at helping kind of support your body. Vitamin D, vitamin B, zinc, calcium, and magnesium are all extremely important in this nutritional part of your life, and can help with mood. Vitamin B is known as the mood vitamin. Vitamin D helps with your immune system, and calcium, magnesium helps a lot with sleep and cardiovascular health, which is also can be impacted by estrogen reductions as well, quite significantly. You can also include essential oils use to try to elevate your mood, try to change your mood, work on your mindset. So any of the citrus oils help you. They're light, they're bright, they're uplifting. Lavender is uplifting, also can help you sleep. Emotional impacts have a circular thing. So you could have depression and anxiety, and then you can't sleep and you get tired, and then you have more depression, anxiety, or it can be a vicious circle. So things that can help you sleep can often improve your emotional impact. Sleep and relax can often improve your emotional symptoms. Roman chamomile is very calming. Clary sage is also calming. There's a bunch of different things. Vetiver is very good. Petitgrain, which is the bark of citrus trees, it is a more woodsy oil, but with a citrus kind of back note. All of those things can support you and your emotions. However, if your mood worsens or continues for long periods of time or leads to thoughts of self-harm, please seek immediate medical attention. This is not something that you should wait on. It's not, you're not bothering people. You need to get support around this right away. Okay, so that's the emotional impacts. Now let's talk about getting rid of the waste. This is one of those topics where people don't really want to talk about it, but it is super important, because let's face it, nothing feels worse than being bloated and stuffed up when you're constipated. And with all of the hormonal changes going on in your body, it is inevitable that your waste system is also impacted. And the secret phase of gut health that isn't as sexy as probiotics or prebiotics is elimination. It's pooping. So if that system is not working, you are not going to feel good. Plain and simple. And because hormones also affect the digestive tract, as the result of the hormone drop that women are experiencing, we often experience constipation during this phase of our life. And these changes in our bowel routine can actually develop before menopause, during perimenopause, because in perimenopause, you're having fluctuations in your balance of hormones. So it's really important that we talk about this. And the interesting thing about the digestive process is that relationship between estrogen and cortisol. So estrogen is responsible for many things in our bodies, one of which is keeping our cortisol levels low. And cortisol is our stress hormone. So if you are under stress, your body releases cortisol that triggers your fight, flight, or freeze responses. And your estrogen is meant to then help balance it out. But we live in a chronic stress world where it's not the lion that we're running away from. It's the constant attachment to work and to 24-hour news cycles and to world events. All of those things can lead to us chronically being under stress and chronically being flooded with cortisol. And the issue is that when our estrogen levels decline, our cortisol levels go up. So if we are in also this high stress situation, they're going to go up significantly. And cortisol can slow down your digestive process. And it lengthens the time that it takes for food to break down in your body. It can make stool more difficult to pass. Too little progesterone can cause your colon to slow down. And the longer your food stays in your colon, the drier it gets, because your colon sucks the water out of it. So there you go. You have dry stool stuck in your colon for a long period of time. Not a comfortable situation. The other thing that can happen is postmenopausal women can also have weakened pelvic floor muscles. We haven't done our Kegels well enough. And that can make it even more difficult to eliminate hard, dry stool. If you're on medications for other issues, those can also increase the constipation rate in your body. So here's some things that you can do to improve your waste removal system in your body. Daily exercise can help regulate bowel movements. If you can try to do 30 minutes of daily aerobic exercise a day, that will go a long way in helping your gut, your colon and your intestines be able to move the waste through. Drink lots of water, lots. It is one of those things that without it, if you don't want dry stools, you need liquid, which is water. And the biggest one is that cortisol is released when you're under stress. So easing and dealing with your stress level is also critical to your well-functioning digestive system. You'll also need things like fiber in your diet, very good nutrition. If you're struggling with that, there are several products in the Young Living lineup that help you get back to a good system level. One is ICP, that's good for helping get your intestinal system moving again. There are some cleansing supplements that you can get if you want to do a cleanse and then get onto a new regime. But key would also be gut health, not only probiotics, but also digestive enzymes. Okay. Vitamin C and vitamin D and magnesium are also very good things to help your waste removal system. You probably heard of milk of magnesium. So magnesium is a good supplement to have, but we often pair it with calcium because calcium needs magnesium to absorb properly, but some calciums can cause constipation. So if you're taking just a calcium supplement, that might be part of the reason why you're constipated. Also, if you're on iron supplements, those can also cause constipation. So really look at where you're at, look at how much fiber you're getting in your diet, maybe supplement with a fiber supplement during the day, make sure that your gut health is really healthy, and you should be having bowel movements minimum 3 times a week, if not more. If it's an issue, talk to a healthcare provider, do some reading, get some good information behind you, and maybe supplement your diet. So the next issue we're going to talk about is libido. This is one of the things that women talk about a lot in the big group that I'm in, is that they've lost their sex drive. And then when they have a sex drive, the vaginal dryness or the vaginal atrophy can be quite painful, and they're struggling to figure out how to make this work. It's not surprising that this is this is a very common impact, because libido is all created by hormones. And when our hormones are decreasing or out of whack, our libido can be impacted. So menopausal and postmenopausal women may notice that they're not easily aroused, and they may be less sensitive to touching. And that can lead to less interest in sex. If you're having all the other issues as well, the fatigue, the depression, the anxiety, that's not going to help your libido either. And lower levels of estrogen can also cause a drop in the blood supply to your vagina. So that can affect your lubrication and cause you to be quite dry, to have comfortable sex. So this part really requires a lot of openness and conversation with your partner. Talk about new ways to seek intimacy. Look for lubricants that can help support you. Be very careful. Lubricants can often break down condoms. So if you're using condoms for whatever reason, just be careful that the lubrication doesn't break down the condom. But there are some other ways that you can support your libido. You can get some exercise. Exercise releases those good hormones, those endorphins, and make you feel better. So it can actually help your libido. You can manage your fatigue. If you work on getting a better sleep, if you can work on not feeling blue, then your libido can naturally rise. Definitely talk with your partner. Be open about what's happening to your body. And set some intentional time with your partner to focus on enhancing your total relationship. I commented on a post once that sex in menopause needs to be an entire day event. It needs to start in the morning with kind words and soft caresses and move through the day. It can't just be one and done, like it may have been when we were 20. But there are also some supplements that can possibly help you with your libido during menopause. And the two that are really quite prevalent are magnesium and zinc. So if this is an issue for you, you want to do some research about magnesium and zinc and how it can improve libido. There are also certain plants that have been used to boost male and female sexual desire performance. But you really need to research those for yourself and really think about whether or not you want to try them. And while it's not possible to say that there are any essential oils that are aphrodisiacs, some essential oils have properties that can be linked to having a more positive sexual experience. And those include things like clary sage, lavender, sandalwood, and ylang ylang. And it is said that the smell of these oils is able to support you having a more pleasurable experience during sex. Now, Young Living also has a couple of lubrication options, but the Sensation is the one that is mostly for this particular use. But again, be careful and note that it can impact the effectiveness of condoms. And if this is of a serious concern for you, if this is one of the things in your menopausal journey that is the most concerning for you, there's a great site I want to recommend. It's lucylibido.com. She's got some amazing information about how to support your libido in a natural way. So check her out, www.lucylibido.com. Okay, so the next one is just basic energy. So it's a kind of a vicious cycle, right? You have low energy so that you don't do the things that help you get a good restful sleep. Then you don't get a good restful sleep and you have low energy. And especially during menopause, this actually seems to be a cycle that repeats the most often for women. Fatigue and insomnia, along with brain fog, are just, those things that seem to trouble women the most, and they seem to struggle. I know I did for quite a long time. I struggled with fatigue and insomnia so bad. And you can't have clarity in your day when you're so exhausted. And the thing is, there are some things that you can do for this to support reducing your fatigue and insomnia. And it can be a struggle at the beginning, but once you start to see the effects, then it's easier to do. Get sufficient physical activity during the day. Get outside. If you're reducing your stress, turn off podcasts, just walk and think about, be in your own head for a while. Get that good exercise, that good hormones releasing in your body. Have good sleep hygiene practices before bed. Don't have a TV on in your bedroom. Don't have blue light before you go to bed. Try to read, try to meditate, or do a gratitude list, things that will set you up for a good night's sleep and a good day the next day. Excuse me. Ensure your body is getting the nutrition it needs. Be brutally honest with yourself about this. we all like to think that we have a pretty good diet, but if you track your diet for a week, 7 days, you may find out that you're actually not getting the fiber, the fruits, the vegetables, the nutrients that your body needs. And then you might not be utilizing them enough, because as we age, we lose that gut health. We lose those digestive enzymes as we get older. We still in our head think we're in our 20s, and our bodies are saying, no, I need some more support. So think about supplements to ensure optimum nutritional levels. If you're still struggling getting sleep, plan some rest times in your day so that you can recover and have periods of higher energy because you actually intentionally had a rest. Reduce caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol use, really important. And then drink lots and lots of water. If you struggle like me to drink lots of water, add something like Citrus Fresh essential oil blend to your water. It makes it much easier to drink, and actually gives you quite a boost. There's some supplements that I would recommend to help support your energy levels. Digestive enzymes are huge. Get the most out of the food that you're eating by digesting it better. Have these digestive enzymes when you eat so that you are actually pulling as much nutrition out of that food as possible. Calcium can help you sleep better and actually has the added benefit of protecting you from bone loss, which is a significant concern for postmenopausal women. Vitamin D helps with your immune system, and probiotics. In concert with those digestive enzymes, that probiotic is helping your gut to be healthier and to produce that good serotonin that you are really needing. So the final thing, the final issue that I want to talk about for menopause is relationships. So this is all about you helping the people in your life understand where you're at. And you may think that you communicated this, but if you ask your family members, they may not understand still. So communication and education are really the keys to supporting your relationships through this critical phase of your life. This is a significant life change, and it's got some pretty big impacts. So being truthful and honest and open about what is happening will go a long way to helping others understand what's going on for you and really notice when you are struggling. So think about sitting down with your partner and family and just talking about what's going on with you, about how you feel, about what your body sensations are like, what your mindset is around the changes that are happening. Talk to them about, what you think about yourself in this phase of your life. It's also helpful to give them some ideas of what they can expect and what you are trying to address to fix some of the issues that you find the most troubling. Ask them for help by giving them permission to tell you when they are unhappy, scared, or worried about your process. This open communication, it may not reduce the severity of your symptoms, but it will go a long way to protect your relationships from the damage that they can do. Okay, so those are the systems in your life that are that I believe are most impacted by menopause, by this whole process through perimenopause into menopause and out the other side to postmenopause. So now let's just talk about the systems, and the things that we can do to support them, because we've talked a lot about these systems. So we talked about gut health, because our gut is really our second brain. And as we said, it's the producer of 90% of the serotonin in your body, which significantly impacts your emotional health and your intestinal health. It is responsible for the absorption of nutrients and your elimination process. So there are a couple of options in Young Living that support this process completely. Essentialzymes and Essentialzymes 4. Now, Essentialzymes 4 is a multi-spectrum enzyme complex, and it's formulated to aid digestion, particularly of dietary fats, proteins, fibers, and carbohydrates, the things that are most found in the modern processed diet. I've been taking those for 2 years, and even with all of the medical cocktail that I'm on, which is noted to cause significant things like acid reflux. I have none. There's a product called ICP, which promotes bowel movements by increasing bulk, volume, and water content in your intestinal system. I do that weekly. I have one of those weekly in a smoothie. I have a scoop of that just to keep things going. If you want to do a cleanse, there is a product called Comfort Cleanse, and it impacts the colon, and it helps with short-term relief of occasional constipation. And then the biggie is Life 9, which is a probiotic formula. It has 17 billion live cultures from 9 bacterial strains. It promotes healthy digestion, supports gut health, helps maintain normal intestinal function. It's really the key to gut health with those digestive enzymes. There's also Ningxia Red, which is a great antioxidant and helps to balance out your system, and your cells will love you for it. If you are struggling with the mental health and depression and the brain issues, there's things like vitamin B, golden turmeric, and the omega-3/6 supplement called Omega Gize. If you are looking at your physical health is one of the biggest impacts that you find, you can incorporate something called MindWise, which is a unsaturated fatty acid, an omega-3 acid liquid, which also has CoQ10 in it, and that supports cardiovascular and brain function. So if you're really stuck in the brain fog area, this might be the supplement that you want to try. CoQ10 is incredibly important for cardiovascular health, and women in postmenopause have 2 things that they have to think about: cardiovascular health and bone density. So I would suggest that all women in postmenopause should be on something like MindWise and a calcium magnesium supplement. Then there's also CardioGize if you've got cardiovascular issues like me. One of the most critical components to supporting your menopausal body, I believe, is a serum called Progressence. This is a wild yam and chasteberry extract, plus some essential oils for absorption that helps with progesterone. You put it on the inside of your arm. I do it before bed, and it helps me sleep like a baby. Unbelievable sleep using this. I have just had amazing results from that. And then the other one that I would say would be super key to the stress level component is essential oil blend called Endoflex. And this is to help support all those systems that are impacted by stress. And like I said, postmenopausal women, bone density. Calcium is critical in postmenopause to help protect your bone density. And it should be combined with magnesium to help with its availability to your body. If you're having muscle cramps and you might have headaches, you could try increasing your magnesium. If you're already on the calcium magnesium, that's just going to do it for you naturally because you have them both together. Vitamin D is very, very important because low vitamin D can affect your mood and it can affect your bones. And if you are having fatigue or joint pain, hair loss, or low immune function, you could be low in vitamin D. Now, the key to vitamin D, yes, we can create vitamin D from the sunshine. That capacity to do that reduces with age. It reduces how far north you live. By how far north you live, you get not as much sunshine. But the biggest key is that's an age-related process. So if you are at menopausal age, you are very likely low in vitamin D. You can go to a naturopath and they can do a blood test for you to tell you how low you are. I was super low. I think you're supposed to be up over 60. I was down at 20. So I am on quite a lot of vitamin D. It also helps with your immune function. So if you want to stay healthy, you need a healthy immune system. So vitamin D is very important. Zinc is really an important component. It can affect your taste and your smell and can cause low immunity. But in a lot of the supplements that I've talked about already, there's already a zinc component there. Zinc is important for the production of hormones. So just when we need more, we are often very deficient in it. So that's something that's really good to know about. But like I said, in the calcium, magnesium supplements of Young Living, there's already a zinc component there. So here's a quick shot, if you want to take a picture from where you're at. These are some helpful supplements for particular parts of your body, body systems. And what you need depends, of course, on what your body is telling you. So what is your most troubling symptom, right? Start from your most troubling symptom and start to create a plan that addresses that. And try using wellness products. They tend to be the gentlest start to things, and go from there. So I've put together a couple of examples of things that you could order. This super pack of supplements is Essential Zymes 4, the digestive enzyme, Life 9, the probiotic, Super B, which is the mood supplement, Super Cal Plus, which is the calcium, magnesium, and zinc component, and then vitamin D, super vitamin D. And that component, now I've done it based on a Canadian market, but the people in the States can order these exact same things. This component would be 137 Canadian for the first 3, and then another $63 for the last 2, because we have to order those 2, the Super Cal and the vitamin D, from the American store. So basically for just over $200 Canadian, you could have a complete gut health and bone density support system for supplements. You could add and subtract things based on what healthcare or what health symptoms that you're experiencing. And that's easy enough to talk about in terms of what can you add and subtract. So we could do that together. So the next thing I want to talk about, the last thing, I'm going to go quickly through this because we're almost at time here, is that you can also use essential oils to help support you through menopause. There is a long list of products that can support you, and we've talked about them already. Things like clary sage and lavender and ylang ylang. One of the most surprising things that I tell women is if you're having hot flashes, get yourself some peppermint oil. Peppermint oil in the back of your neck during the day and on the bottoms of your feet when you're going to bed will really help cool you down. It's amazing. I have it in a bottle with a roller on it so that I can just roll it whenever. I'm pretty much finished with hot flashes now, but man, did I use a lot of peppermint when I was having them. So you can order wellness bundles that can support all of this. And for different reasons, you can add and subtract oils based on what your issue is. But I have found excellent support through these. The 4 off the top that I would recommend the most is the Progessence, the Endoflex, lavender, and peppermint oil. But if you have other issues, if you have high stress in your life, I would include nutmeg. If you have a lot of calming that you need, I would include bergamot. If you are really struggling with fluctuations, and headaches, clary sage is very helpful. If it's just stress you're trying to deal with, you could go to 4 products: Stress Away, Endoflex, Progressence, and Super B. The Super B is for the mood. The Progressence is for your mood. Endoflex is to support that overall well-being and that stress response. And Stress Away, after my heart attack, I didn't leave the house without a bottle of Stress Away. It just was comforting and helpful. And then there's all kinds of bundles that you could put together. So anywhere from $100 to $200, you can get yourself quite a comprehensive process in place in your house to help support all those body systems that we talked about. It's about you knowing what it is that you want, what are your goals, and what is it that you want to try first. So some of you might be ready to dive in right away. You know what your issues are and you want to try the products immediately. That's fantastic. There's a link here. I can send you a link to the Young Living website and give you my referral number. You can sign up and order product right away. I can even stay on after this call and help you to get that done so that you've got those products coming to your house right away. But if you still have a lot of questions and you really want to talk some more about what might be the right thing for you, I'm going to put a link in, oh, sorry. I'm going to put a link in the chat that, oh, sorry, I'm doing this. So here's the link to sign up. Just a second here. Okay, I put that in the chat. And then some of you would rather to have a deeper conversation, talk more about what it is that you need and possibly have something much more curated for you. So I'm going to pop a link here if you want to have a one-to-one session with me to talk about what you need. Okay, so those are the things. Now, hi Diana, thank you for joining us. I am going to be posting this video on my YouTube channel, and then I'll post it in the group and on my Facebook page. But if there's any questions, I can take questions and we can talk about what it is that you might need. No questions? Cool. Okay. Well, if there's no questions, you've got the links here for either a one-to-one session to talk about, talk about your particular situation, or if you're interested in just going online and setting up an account and finding out whether or not you want some products, then that link is in there in the comments as well. And we can say, have a nice afternoon. Thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate this. I will post the link again in the Facebook group and on my personal Facebook page so that if you want to watch this again, or if you want to share it with friends, feel free. And we can have a great afternoon.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining.